Bee woke with a start, effectively dead, and yet, at the same time, not dead at all. It happened to her more and more frequently, a couple of times a week these days. She would drift into that twilight of half asleep, and something would happen that she immediately recognized as the end of everything. But curiously, the thing itself was never big or dramatic, a shadow that fell over her in her sleep, or an envelopment in something like smoke. But with a jolt of fear, she clearly knew everything ended with the smoke or the shadow, and that she had known this truth all along, and that she had been waiting for it. Then, startled awake, she would lie frozen for a moment, wondering why she was still so there. If that had been the end of everything, why was she still in her bed thinking thoughts in the wake of it? Eventually her brain would clear enough to understand the moment for what it was, a half-asleep, half-awake dream experience. It usually took her almost half the night to get back to sleep after such a fright. Bee lay frozen for a moment, wondering why it was still so hard to breathe. She reached a hand up to her chest and found Phyllis curled on her collarbone. "Phyllis, honey, you have to move." She gently nudged the cat down onto the bed. Phyllis rose, stretched, then slithered under the covers and curled up next to Bee's hip. Bee breathed deeply a few times and poked at a thought hiding somewhere near the back of her consciousness. She wasn't sure quite what it was yet, but she'd been aware of it several times earlier that day. Each time, she had felt a tightening in her belly, but she'd tried her best not to go after the thought that had evoked it. This time, she held still, and the thought caught her. What if that man had not been from the IRS in any way? He hadn't known her name. She sat up in bed. What if she had just given away $300 of her $740-something to a non-IRS stranger for no good reason whatsoever? What if she had been duped? You heard of such things these days, read about them in the paper, or were warned against them on the news, and they seem to like to target older people. "I can't afford a loss like that," she said out loud to the dark room. She decided to pick up the phone and call the automated phone line for the bank. Being an organized woman, Bee had its number in the directory on her phone, and she knew her PIN by heart. It was the last 4 digits of an older phone number, one she'd kept stored in her memory for years. One from back in the days when she and Herbert had owned a house. She would never forget it as long as she lived, but no one would associate it with her or guess it, and she had been told to be extremely careful when choosing passwords and PINs. Another cold grip in her stomach reminded her that it doesn't matter how carefully you choose your PIN if someone can just ask you for it on the phone, and you give it. The familiar canned voice on the line welcomed her to her bank's automated services line, then began a menu of choices. Bee didn't wait. She punched number 3 because she knew it would bring up account balance and information. "I don't like this new world," she said out loud to no one. "I don't like it one bit." Sighing, she punched in her account number and PIN. "Your balance is $0.00. To hear this information again, press 1. To return to the main menu, press 2. To end this call, press the pound key or hang up." Bee hung up. She sat with the phone in her hand in the dark. For how long she would not have been able to say. She knew she was awake, and yet here it was again. The end of everything. And just like in the waking dreams, Bee was still there.